Good morning. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us for another edition of the Morning Breeze, man. Always rocking with you guys, as always, man. Outside of me, I got my guy, Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC, in the building. Oh, yeah, we're back, baby. Back and better than ever. No accidental shows this time, too. That was wild.
On time.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Back for another episode of the Morning Breeze. Got a lot to get into on today's episode as Caleb Williams, a little spicy.
Oh,
a little feisty.
A little defensive, huh?
A little defensive about his offensive line. He says, you shut your dang mouth. Got to talk about why I love this and why I think this is a great thing for your young quarterback to be doing. Also, a lot of questions on the team as a whole. But something we thought we had answers on was this Chicago Bears defense. Do we really? How big of a fix are we in for this offseason with this Chicago Bears defense? And then finally, we got a little national for you. Because I'll tell you this right now. Not a lot of people liking the decision to sit Saquon Barkley. We'll talk about all that more in today's episode. The date is 1/2/2025.
Hey.
We're in a new year.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not going to be a new steak. Let's go! That's right, meaty. New year, same steak. You can't fool us.
New year, same Bears, same everything.
New year, same Bears, same steak. I'm still dealing with this little
same sickness. Oh boy.
Still same sickness, still a part of this.
Oh, man.
I'm good. Now it's just the sinuses won't go away. You know what I mean? It's one of those.
We can't have that.
And now the way I got my tea. The show must go on. I am not contagious. That's the important part.
Okay.
So I'll be coughing all over that Monopoly board tonight.
Oh boy.
Who's ready to take smells? Hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do.
Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push the button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Push the goddamn button. Don't get smacked out here. Whoa, we got stuff snapping up before it's supposed to. Guess
Caleb's ready.
We'll just jump into that conversation. Caleb was ready to punch somebody's lights out. You see that? He came in feisty on this morning's episode. As Caleb Williams jumps in, might as well jump into the topic, man. Listen, we talk a lot about the Chicago Bears team, and listen, there's been a lot of negative to point to this season, and the offensive line has been at the forefront of that. I am not going to run away from it. Call it a stupid narrative if you want, and we'll have a conversation about that today. Like I think, but what I do love is when you hear Caleb's comments, he's letting you know that these are my teammates, and I don't like how you're talking about them.
Yeah.
While I do not agree with the sentiments that Caleb Williams has put out there, as far as we've called them out for not working hard enough, I think there's only one person we've said that about.
Yeah, and he's not with the team anymore.
And he's not with the team anymore because he didn't work hard enough. Yeah. But I do like the fact that he's coming to bat for his teammates. Let's listen in on what Caleb Williams had to say here.
That there's been, yes, everybody gives up sacks. Everybody messes up. Everybody misses a block. Everybody drops a pass. Everybody throws a pick. I got 6, and I got a couple fumbles and things like that. So, the connotation behind, my offensive line has been annoying. And frustrating because they work their tail off to be able to go out there and the guys that whether guys are fighting injuries, whether guys can't play, and we got other guys stepping up, or whether guys been playing the whole season. And so the negative connotation behind them, they come in here and work their butt off each day and each week. I've taken sacks, yes, and a good amount have been on me, whether it's small things of getting the ball out of my hands, and just maybe dirting it, maybe not trying to find the perfect route, perfect play, all of that for that situation. Maybe it's just throwing out of bounds, dirting it, finding the check down faster. And then the other one's just not trying to make plays all the time, and understanding that. So like I said, and I don't misjudge words. The stupid connotation behind my offensive line being bad is not the truth. I've taken a good amount of sacks that have been my fault, and and a couple throughout that last game were mine, like the one in empty where I believe I'm trying to remember what number sacked me, but didn't make the easy flipper check, and that guy blitzed and tried to make a play, and and took a sack instead of, okay, I messed up and didn't make the flipper check, throw it out of bounds over the dude's head, or over the hot or check down's head. And so, took a 14-yard sack on that one, I think it was, and put us in a bad situation. So there's been many times this season where, yes, people have given up sacks, sure, and then myself is completely a part of that.
Now, I love this. I love this from this young man. Number one, taking accountability. 100%. There's a portion of these sacks that are on Caleb, and that number is probably double digits. Right? You're probably talking about of 60-something sacks. I keep saying a third of the sacks are probably on him, right?
Yeah.
But still a lot of sacks. Still a lot of sacks from your offensive line. Still puts you in bad situations. Still at times where you need them to stand up. There's some question marks there. But I love the accountability from this young man. I love him calling out and saying, I'm not mincing words. I'm not I'm not choosing the wrong word here. I'm telling y'all exactly what I think about this. It's stupid. It's a stupid narrative. My offensive line is not bad. While I disagree with him wholeheartedly, I love the fact that he's coming to bat for his teammates. I love the fact that he's coming out and he's already viscerally like, listen, these are my guys. I'm rolling with them. They're not bad. That's the kind of leader that everybody said Caleb Williams would not be.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of team captain that you need on this team. And I'll say this, JC, in a year where I have a lot of questions on captains on this team, where I have a lot of question on leadership on this team, going into this last week, it is good to hear that somebody is stepping up and speaking up as one of the leaders of this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. I mean, throughout the whole year, I've said it that Caleb Williams has constantly shown himself to take accountability week in and week out. Like every week, that was one thing that impressed me because, again, like you said, that was a narrative going into drafting him that we were kind of questioning, where a lot of people were saying, well, whether or not he has good leadership abilities. Does he like facing the noise? Does he like taking actual accountability on himself? What does he see as a self-improvement? Every week, I got to be better with this. I have to go to the checkdowns. I got to be better with accuracy. I got to get the ball out quicker. There's things that he's always put on himself, and he's done that week in and week out. It's just not hearsay. It's just not speak. I think he actually believes that, yes, there's things I have to correct. So please don't continue to just put every single sack on the offensive line.
Right.
Now, with that being said, 67 sacks in total is still a lot, and we still got a game left. So you want to sit here and say, don't put them all on the line. Well, okay, fine. We'll put a third on you, and we'll put 2/3 on the line, which is a heck of a lot of on the line. Now, you were saying there's a negative connotation behind the offensive line, well, that's kind of been established by the offensive line itself. We still have a pair of eyes. But I love the balancing act, the teeter-totter act that he's perfected with knowing, hey, this is my team. I'm not finna sit here and blast anybody, put anybody out there, because these are the guys that are protecting me, and they're trying their hardest. They're not sitting here saying, hey, Olay, welcome, take a piece of my quarterback with you while you, win the game. They're trying. Coleman Shelton knows what he sees in front of him, as you said.
How often we say that?
But he just doesn't know how to. He can't gain 100 pounds. He can't gain, what is it, 3 more inches or whatever. like he can't gain that. So you have to do what you have to do with the second cheapest offensive line in the league. And I love the fact that he's going to bat. That again shows the leadership skills. That's what you don't question with this guy, is that, yes, he's going to have his guys back. He's going to make sure that he says the right things, because why wouldn't he? Why would you put yourself in the last week of the season out there and say, yeah, these guys suck. I gotta be scampering around and doing the whoop, 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 whoop that we always talk about all the time. But no, good leadership, good teammate. That's exactly what you want to see going into the offseason.
No, 100%. And I think here's the big thing out of all of this, right? Is it shows you that even in the worst moments that he's not going to sit there and falter. I do also think that it's showing you that, hey, I have a voice and I'm going to use it. We haven't seen a ton of that from Caleb Williams this season, not to his detriment, right? But realistically speaking, there's been a lot of times where Caleb has said, I'm kind of just going to defer to whatever, the coach is saying, or I'm kind of just going to defer to whatever the team is going with. This was him, taking a stand on his own, saying, listen, you guys are idiots. I am at fault as well. Yeah. And I do think there are times where we focus too much on the O. Well, no, I can't say that. I do think there are times where the O-line gets more blame than is deserved to them, instead of Caleb Williams taking some of that. And when we watch the games, we do a good job of like, Caleb, you got to get rid of that ball. That's on you. Like we do call Caleb Williams out for holding on to the football too long, but it's also, hey, this is a rookie quarterback trying to adjust to this league. He shouldn't have been put in this position. That's more where a lot of our ire comes with this Bears offensive line. It's the fact that, hey, we saw this with Braxton Jones last season. Hey, we saw this with Coleman Shelton, except it was Lucas Patrick last season. Hey, we've seen Ryan Poles undersell this offensive line. Hey, we've seen the right guard that was in place that is no longer there. Basically not practiced the entire time. Shout out to Emilio Brito with the $4.99 super chat. Said Ben the Pen Johnson, no matter what. We're giving Ben Johnson? Are we giving him Ben the Pen?
Okay, all right.
I don't get the pen. I don't know if I like that. I don't
either.
I don't know if I like that one, Emilio. We got to come up with something better than that.
Was it offensive playmaker? So he's using.
I guess so. I guess he's using. Nope, not going down that path.
Yep. Good saved.
Safe. But no, I think that, listen, while I love the fact that he's defending his offensive line, these are things that have been problems. The left guard being injury prone. Now, nobody's accusing Tevin Jenkins of not working hard enough. The one thing that we've said on this show every time is Tevin Jenkins is our best offensive lineman when he's out there. He's not healthy. Unfortunately, that means that I can't rely on him nearly as much. Guess what? That was a problem last season. So these are things that precede Caleb Williams being there. I like that Caleb is taking a stand for his O-line. I like that he's saying that, these things are on me, but let's not. I've seen people take this and turn it into, see, Caleb is basically telling you that these guys aren't that bad, that it's him. No, there's 67 sacks here. Two things can be true. There's plenty of pie to go around.
A lot of blame. Yeah.
There's plenty of pie for everybody to get a slice here. You know what I mean? I do agree that Caleb Williams has to get rid of the football sooner, and we've said as much. I also think that you can still talk about 40 plus sacks, that you look at this offensive line and just go, hey, why'd that guy just fall down there? Why was he singing on that play? Why was he in his room? What was going on there?
Why was he in his room?
Why was he in his room? My room. Why were they all doing a joint sing along here? What's going on with that? What's happening?
R&B group, yeah.
What's going on? Why are we singing in the rain, R&B style, 1999? What's going on with that?
Yeah, that is utterly ridiculous. My thing, like you said, two things can be true at the same time. And as I've said before with the offensive line, you get what you pay for. Like when you have a bunch of guys that you brought in from other teams, where even on their other teams, they were the backups. They were the guys that were kind of like the second-hand offensive linemen. Like that. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get some timey play. You're going to get guys that are going to give up sacks. You're going to get guys that are going to be taken advantage of. You got a guy in Karen Amageji that we put out there, put into the fire after he was drafted hurt and completely got destroyed and taken advantage of, got exposed. Braxton Jones, obviously, we've talked about him peaking. Tevin Jenkins, as you mentioned, injury prone, but when he's out there, he's a dog. Coleman Shelton, too small. Nate Davis, too lackluster and lazy. Get him out of here. And then, of course, Darnell Wright has taken, a few steps back, and then he takes a step forward, then he takes a step back. So it's been like an on and off season for him. So this whole offensive line has just been kind of like a circus. And that's why, again, going into the offseason, why this is probably the number one area of need, whether it be in the draft, whether it be in free agency. And so there is a reality that, yes, this negative connotation, it sticks. It actually makes sense to apply to this offensive line. Like, that's not an overstatement. Now, as the quarterback, yes, you're not supposed to dig into that. And that's why he even said, and that's why I like it. What did he say? He said, now are all the sacks on me? No, of course, there's some sacks that were taken. So he admits in a way that, yes, the offensive line has given up, some sacks. But because of Caleb trying to scamper and add a few seconds to try and allow routes to develop and wide receivers to get downfield, sometimes that puts him in a position where he runs right into a guy, and it's not on the offensive lineman. I remember seeing precisely him running into, I believe, a sack where Darnell Wright was blocking his guy perfectly. Caleb stepped up, went to the right, ran right into the guy. It wasn't on Darnell Wright. It was on him. So again, it's on both. It's on the quarterback. It's on the offensive line. More so on the offensive line for the entire year. Again, this is just a area of position that we really need to address going into the offseason.
Yeah, and listen, I think what your goal is, because Caleb's never going to stop scampering, right? He's not.
No, that's
that's his thing, right? The goal is to get him to know when to feel comfortable, to have a pocket to feel comfortable in, that you can stand in there and not have to worry about the backside being blown up immediately the second you snap the football, that you can step up in that pocket, navigate it, be able to roll out, play within structure, but if you need to, turn it into something deeper down the field. That is what we see Patrick Mahomes do. That is what we see Lamar Jackson do. Now, Pat Mahomes, not a great offensive line in front of him. He's basically got a guard. He's got a guard and some solid P. He's got a center too, but when you talk about those guys who are successful in those moments, it is usually the guys that have just tree trunks in front of them that aren't going to be moved.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually the guys that have these monsters, these behemoths in front of them that are going to give you that extra second to work with, and then you can create based off of that. Those guys run into sacks too. There's still a portion of those sacks where I look at Pat Mahomes' game that I go, wow, that's completely on Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like you ran yourself into that sack. But then because of those moments where now you also have to do these things, right? When you have those moments where you're running around, the reason we're not at Pat Mahomes' head, the reason we're not at Joe Burrow's head, the reason we're not at Lamar Jackson's head, when those shots do open up, they hit them.
Mm-hmm.
That's, to me, what Caleb Williams needs to improve on most coming into this next offseason. I do think the offensive line still needs to improve, but I think that if you look at the team in totality, we're not talking about a lot of these sacks or these moments if Caleb Williams hit some of these deep shots that have come open by him creating that time. So there's a lot that has to be improved upon on this team. We're going to keep this thing moving along. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave the 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Before we continue on, we're going to take a quick break, listening to a word from our sponsors over at Aura.
Oh,
I love that Aura commercial. We got a cool down here. But we'll talk about coming up next. Do we have to rebuild this Chicago Bears defense?
Uh-oh.
Or are we still comfortable going into next season with the team that we have? We'll talk about all that and more coming up next. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching the show. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Aura. Have you ever done a Google search on your own name? You'd be surprised what pops up. Your full name, email address, home address, health records, your relatives. It's all out there. And that's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests just for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use that information to help them access my social media, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. It's really simple to set up. I don't have to download several apps or go to things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft, but you can get all of that in one place with Aura. I get everything at one affordable price as well. You may already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like leaving the front door locked while leaving the back door and windows wide open. For you to be able to take advantage of Aura, we got a special deal for you here today. Stop data brokers from exposing your personal information. Go to my sponsor at https:/aura.com/the Windy City. Again, that is aura.com/the Windy City to get a 14-day free trial and see how much of your information is being sold. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always.
Yes, sir.
Caleb Williams calling out the stupid media narrative that was out there. Stupid media narrative that is out there about his offensive line. I don't know if it's stupid, but I love the fact that he's coming to the defense of him. We're going to keep this thing moving along, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Shout out to D Breezy for the super chat. He said it looks like Caleb was the classic number one who needed to sit a year. He's decent, but this season was a huge disappointment. Meaningless yards. I love this meaningless yards.
Where is this coming from over the last month?
I love it because it's all meaningless yards unless the defense gets one stop or, you know, a kicker makes a field goal and then none of it's meaningless. You know what I mean? That's always my like, what is the new, like everybody always, I asked this on Twitter when Jordan Love was leading the team back. I was like, are these garbage yards? And a bunch of people said yes. And I want to know what the definition of garbage yards has become. Because if garbage yards are now basically you did everything you could to put your team in a position to win the game at the end of the game, and for some reason people think only people are in prevent defense in these moments where literally they were blitzing, I don't know, probably 70% of the plays on that last drive that Jordan Love scored on. If that's garbage yards now, I'm good. Yeah, I mean, like I don't know what narrative y'all are trying to roll with. That's a stupid narrative. If there's a narrative that needs to be called out, that's a stupid narrative. That's
exactly the reason.
It's funny to me.
No, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like I think if they won those games, you would have a different narrative. You have a different opinion. Caleb Williams put you in a position to win those games. It was your coach that took the ball out of his hands one time, or I should say the former coach that didn't call a timeout. It was the former coach that also decided to try and kick a field goal, and that didn't work because, again, you took the ball out of his hands. Like, Caleb has put you in a position to win a number of these games earlier in the season. So I still don't get these garbage stats, these meaningless, empty calorie stats. No, Caleb's had a decent season given all of the crap that has got going on around here. But
no, I do agree with this. Listen, you got to throw more through the first 3 quarters.
That is true.
I do agree with that.
Has been abysmal.
But throwing 150 in the fourth, at some point they're going to start playing defense again, which they usually do. And then when does the garbage begin and end?
Yeah.
It's always my question on that. But hey, man, let's keep this thing moving along. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Let's have this conversation, JC, because I got a lot of questions. And listen, after watching all that college football yesterday, dog,
out of college,
there's some pieces. There's some pieces out there if you need to rebuild a team.
Yes, that
are available. What do you know about a Scatterboo? I'll take a Scatterboo on this team, my boy.
Scatterboo.
You give me a 3rd round Scatterboo.
Epic name. That is an epic name.
I'll take a 3rd round Scatterboo. Is ASU in the chat? Is ASU in this mug, man?
I think AZ
in this
was
mug,
talking a lot of trash earlier.
in this mud, dog. What's going on? Take a Scatterboo on this team. Take a Scatterboo on this team. So, Gainey, 75% of your yards when you're losing by 14 or more isn't meaningless, especially when the D is playing lax. That's BS. Y'all are losers. Well, you paid us to leave that comment, so thanks.
Thanks for the $5, D Breezy.
But yeah, no, I would not say that that's. I think that there's a portion of it where maybe teams are playing soft.
Yeah,
but when you take the lead, teams are not then playing soft. When you're in position to take the lead, teams are not going to play you soft. When you're driving down the field to score a game-tying touchdown, teams aren't playing you soft. So, thanks there, D Breezy.
Man,
there's a stupid narrative. Hey, man, let's talk about this defense, man, because there's a lot of questions on this defense out there that I do think are valid. Right now, haven't been able to create pressure up front in the slightest. I think that now when you talk about, listen, just the atrocious numbers that the Bears basically rank 32nd in all over the field, you have to ask yourself the question, is this defense still for real? Is this defense still one? Since week 7, 32nd in total QBR allowed, 32nd in yards after the catch allowed, per reception, 32nd in yards per completion allowed, 31st in QB's time to throw from the pocket per pass, 31st in first downs allowed per pass attempt, 31st in yards per drive, 31st in drives that result in points, 30th in pass rush win rate.
Jesus.
They're bad. It's a bad defense. Can't stop the run. Can't even think about getting to the quarterback. There's a lot of big problems with this defense. Does this defense need to be rebuilt?
I looked up an article where it talks about the roster needs by importance. Obviously, we know it starts in the trenches. And I think that's where I want to kind of pinpoint why I think the defense isn't where it was when we thought that they were kind of cooking in the beginning of the season. The trenches matter. You got the image of Montez Sweat up there. I think there's a need for another defensive end edge rusher opposite him. There's a need for defensive tackles outside of Javon Dexter and Billings. We've kind of got exposed outside of those two. When Billings went down, it really got bad. When Billings was still healthy, it was bad as far as run defense. Like, we need to address the trenches, because when you address the pressure up front, it just allows everything behind that line to just be better. The linebackers play better. They play freer. The cornerbacks jump in routes, getting more interceptions, pick sixes. The safeties being able to play up a little bit more, maybe being a part of blitz packages, getting interceptions. Like, all of those things assist the guys behind you when you have an elite defensive line. I think that's where we need to really pinpoint rebuilding, in a sense, or retooling, I'll say. I wouldn't say full rebuild, because we got players. If Jaquan comes back fully healthy, ready to go next year, I'm all for that. Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, Tariq Stevenson. We got Edwards. We got players all over the place. We don't need to completely just overhaul this thing. We need to just make smart decisions in the draft when it comes to the edge and also the interior of this defensive line. That's where I think we can get back to being a very good team and possibly, as we once were, a top 10 defense.
Yeah, no, listen, I think that, to me, when I look at this defense, the question I asked the other day was, is there talent out there? Do we have talent at DB? Do we have talent at the linebacker position? And I go back to something that Yurko said when shout out D Breezy for another super chat. We took the lead 2 times out of 11, and Caleb Williams has more 3 and outs in the first 3 quarters than any other QB. Any other QB y'all would say was trash. Did I not just say he needs to improve in the first 3 quarters? I thought I just said that. Thanks. But Paulie G said we need a legit second pass rusher option of Sweat, opposite of Sweat. We also need space eaters in the middle of that D line who can stop the run and add more linebackers. Love that super chat there from Paulie G as well. Here's the thing that I'll say. I go back to something Yurko said when we signed Kevin Byard and we signed Tremaine Edmonds and we signed TJ Edwards.
Yeah.
And he said, you got nothing up front.
Mm-hmm.
If you have nothing up front, these linebackers and DBs are going to be fighting for their lives. That is played out so true. So true. That is played out to be exactly what we've seen. And so I do have a tough time completely eviscerating these guys on the outside, completely eviscerating our linebacker unit. Heck, dare I say, even completely eviscerating Tremaine Edmonds. Do I think that he's underplayed that contract? Yes. But in a 4-3 defense, and especially a 42 nickel, if you can't create pressure with 4, it's over. If you can't create pressure with 4, because you're not going to blitz, at least these guys aren't really blitzing in the 43 defense. The reason being because you want to have that coverage out there. If you're not blitzing and you're not getting pressure with 4, these guys are fighting for their lives. And so you didn't go out and invest in the dogs up front to go get 4. Now, again, do I think that Tremaine Edmonds needs to play better? Yeah, 100%. Do I think that this Bears defense is falling apart? 100%. But I focus so much on the dogs up front that I do have major questions on where the talent level really is at on this defense. Has it fallen off that much? Because I'll tell you what, I know Jalen Johnson can play football. I know Kyler Gordon can play football. I know TJ Edwards is a good linebacker. I know Kevin Byard is a good safety up top. Yep. I know this. But for some reason in this defense, they've all disappeared. D Breezy with another super chat. Shout out D Breezy. So the real question is on Poles. Why are we bringing him back? What has he built? We were better with pace. I don't know about that. Why are we extending? Well, I guess technically, literally, we were better with pace. But our cap situation was terrible. But I guess if you're not spending the money, man, there's a case to be made, I guess. Yeah, not bad. It's crazy.
That's a stretch for me. Okay.
I mean, listen, you had worse cap situation, but you had better talent on the team and you were winning more games.
You had better defense.
Ryan Pace also doesn't have a losing record as a GM.
Yeah, it is tied to the coach. That is true.
Well, no, he probably does because he was there with John Fox. He's probably got a losing record. By the way, don't take this as this is a good thing. Pace was horrible.
Yeah,
but also
the worst of the worst. It's
that tells you kind of where the concern is at with Ryan Poles right now.
Yeah, battle of the bads right now. Yeah,
but exactly. Go ahead with your point, JC.
No, I mean, my whole thing with this narrative, I actually like to look at it from the offensive side of the ball. I feel like this is just a splitting image of the issues we have on the offense as well. It's kind of like the definition of this team. We got all the shiny new toys this offseason, but we didn't address what we need to make sure that those shiny new toys look good. We didn't address the offensive line, so the wide receivers and the Keenan Allens and the DJ Moores and the Rome Odunzes, Cole Kmet's, Gerald Everett's, DeAndre Swift's, because we know he's a better catcher than a runner, according to you.
I don't know about that either.
He's better in the screen game, all right.
Mm.
At least he can get up the field on a screen pass than actually trying to find a hole through the offensive line. I'll put it like that. My thing is, like, you have all of these names that you collected, and none of them can do anything or get open or get their routes completed because you didn't invest in the actual perfect. Boy, Steve will be taking words out. You didn't invest in a toy chest for the new toys. Like, you got the toys scattered all around the room. You didn't invest in the toy chest, the protection of the toys, so we don't step on them when we walk in the room. I love that.
They just out there. Andy's home. They just fall down.
Andy's home. Yeah, you just tripping and falling all over the place, breaking toys. Like, put them in the chest. We need protection. You didn't have protection for the offense. You don't have protection for these guys behind the defensive line to play freer. Like, that's the problem. The trenches are the issue with the Bears on both sides. It's always been the trenches.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like, this is a, by the way, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. 274 in the building, 49 likes on the video. Let's get up over 100 likes on this one, man. The conversation of the trenches is the only answer. It's the only way that this defense works. And I don't know if this is a defense that they continue to run. I don't know if when Ben Johnson comes in here, if we stay with the 4-3, if we go back to a 3-4. I don't know what his plan is with that, or if it's Vrabel, or if it's whoever it is, right? But the one thing that I'll say where I am concerned about it, and where I do think you're going to need to rebuild or find somebody, is can we say that you have leadership on this defense? Can we say that you have leaders in the building? Do we feel like you've still got those guys who are going to hold people accountable on the other side of that football? Because I don't. I feel like we got a lot of Juliuses in training camp over there.
Okay.
Nah, I'm gonna get mine.
I'm gonna do me,
and I'm gonna do me.
Attitude reflect leadership.
Now, I think there's a lot of guys that lead by example.
Yeah,
I do think you got that. I think Montez Sweat is a example leader. I think you've got JJ, who is an example leader. I think you've got Kevin Byard is probably a little bit more vocal. Yeah, I think he's probably one of your more vocal guys, but new to the team. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's getting through. Clearly not, because of how this team is playing. Like, to me, those are the things that you have to have going into next season if you're going to flip this around and fix this.
Yeah, along with the defensive line needing to be addressed, you do need some more actual quote unquote captains. You need guys that are going to be able to get you through those moments, those challenges. And I think we even said it too. Are we underestimating Jaquan Brisker and his leadership already being part of the team? Because, I mean, the man was barking every single chance he got when he was off the field, going to Twitter, saying what he needed to say. And then on the field, you know what he does. He leads by example. So, maybe we were missing a big piece in that. But, yes, you do need some more people that are going to speak out and say, hey, this needs to get addressed. We need to get better in this area and that. Like, you need guys that are just going to take the chains, take the lead and say, follow me, in a sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. It is a major concern for me. I have big questions on whether that is the case or not. I do think Jaquan is somebody who needs to be looked at in that light, and you may have to talk about re-signing them, because, I mean, The week,
I would.
The second that the numbers fall off,
Yep,
is the week that Jaquan is gone.
Mm-hmm.
The second it all falls off is the week that Jaquan is gone. So we'll see what ends up happening with this team. Let's finish it out here, JC, because I thought this was very interesting. Saquon Barkley is going to end up being sat down instead of going for the opportunity to break Eric Dickerson's all-time rushing record. Now, Eric Dickerson probably jumping for joy somewhere because he, for some reason, does not feel that Saquon Barkley should be allowed to break his record in an extra game, even though he broke O.J. Simpson's record in an extra 2 games, I believe. Maybe an extra game. Which is kind of hilarious when you think about it. But JC, I listen, I sit in 2 different places on this. One, I hate that he's not going for history.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that he's not going for history. But 2, I think this is absolutely freaking long-term genius. You're going to sit all of your best players, all of your starters versus the Giants. Essentially giving the Giants another win. Or trying to give the Giants another one. You still got to play the game.
We'll see. Yeah, they might lose still.
And this is king chess game petty to me. Because giving them a win will force them further down in the draft. They will either have to trade back up to go get a quarterback, because no matter what, they need a QB.
Yep, they do.
Or they're going to have to overpay for one of the mid-tier guys that is out there and just take the pick of, whatever it is. Either way, you're forcing them to use future assets on a maybe. Future assets on maybe a mid-tier quarterback, or future assets on maybe a trade up to go get a guy who's, I think there's some question. I like Cam Ward. You want to talk about holding the football long? Cam Ward.
Yeah.
I like Shadur Sanders. Yeah. What Shadur Sanders look like versus top tier competition?
Yeah.
Versus the best of the best.
Not too good, Bob.
I think this is genius by the Philadelphia Eagles. Some of us are like, Pat, you thinking way too much into this. They so far ahead. They're not worried about the Giants. And to that, I say, the moment that you forget that your enemy exists, that's the best moment for your enemy to strike.
Yeah. I'll put it like this. I think that, and I'll attack this from both perspectives. I think from the strategic, the smart, the business, the coaching perspective, you're absolutely right. Sitting him and a lot of the starters this game is beyond smart, for the future and also for the present of this football team going into the playoffs. Saquon Barkley has totaled a lot of yards. He has been used a lot. And of course, we do remember he went through a lot of injuries, a few years ago. And so, having a all-out season like he's had, a really, in a sense, a comeback season of sorts, to kind of put his name out there as one of the better running backs again in the league, I think this is smart going into the playoffs, to just rest him, just to make sure he is really fully ready to go. Now, with that being said, I got a problem as a fan. As a fan, just watching the game of football, Saquon Barkley breaking the record, number 1 for Eric Dickerson, like that records are meant to be broken.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many games added on. No. You see the talent that Saquon is. I almost expect him to break it if he were to play in this game. And then on top of that, you're playing your former team to break the record. Like, there's so many different things you can put into this story. There's a lot of story narratives going to this game. Like, you're breaking it against the former team you played for. Like that to me would be epic. But I don't know. Nick Sirianni's playing chess. I would like for them to play checkers and just have him out there at least until he breaks it. Hey, you know what? Break the record and then take him out. If he breaks it in the first half, don't play the second half.
I would have money up for every one of my offensive linemen. Y'all get me this record in the first half,
Bro.
and I'm breaking y'all off.
Watches on me or whatever.
150K. Hey, new trucks on me. Yeah, I mean, what you see what Purdy did, yeah, I mean, new trucks on me for every one of y'all if we get this record in the first half.
Yeah.
Because I ain't trying to be out there in the second half. I'm trying to hit them before they know they got hit. I would have rather liked to see him go for the record as a fan of football. But I respect the mess out of the chess game of football. I respect the mess out of the chess game of football. Because, like, just hey, we know y'all down, but y'all were dumb enough to win last week, so now I'm going to make sure that you stay down. Like, that to me is next level. That's how I feel like Philly attacked this. That's how I feel like Philly attacked this. So, hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We'll be back later today, of course, for more football talk. Might even get some basketball in there because there's something so concerning about the Chicago Bulls. It may actually need to be talked about because, dare I say, these dummies not going to trade nobody. They just lost to the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, they did.
By the most points that Washington has ever led in a game by this season. Because they're dog water. Alex Sarr looked like a god. He's not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they not going to trade nobody. Man, talk about all that and more coming up this evening. Man, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. For Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC, it's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bed down, one love. Peace.
Shout out to Steve-O. I got that Price is Right reference. It's a new guy. I could not get that record. Definitely gonna get a new car.
Alex Sarr, P. Will, low key cousin.
Ooh, that's disgusting.
They haven't beat a good team and will miss the playoffs. They have beat good teams. That's the part.
They definitely beat good teams.
They beat Boston. They beat Milwaukee.
Yeah, they beat really good teams.
Yeah, they beat good teams. But good Lord.